Hello everyone, this is YouTube here, my first major YouTube, and today I'm going to bring you a poster board of haunted places. Today I'm going to discuss with you the paranormal and its multiple buildings. Obviously, one of my trades is the paranormal, and I've loved the paranormal for quite some time, so be prepared. I'm going to give you the rundown on all things paranormal, starting with the White House. The White House was built in the late 1700s. It started out in 1792. And so far, for over the course that this country's been in existence, it's been the home of, yes, our America's presidents. It was built and burned down in 1814 and rebuilt. So it's almost 300 and something years old. I think it's a 300-year-old structure, but for one of the most famous homes in America. Not a lot of people know that it's the most famous haunted home in America. Starting with John Adams. John Adams was the first president to occupy the White House. He was the first president to occupy the White House, and it wasn't finished like it is today. It's not grand. It wasn't as grand and as awesome as it is today. Obviously, you washed your clothes by hand. There's no running water, nor was there any washing machines. So, when Mrs. Abigail Adams needed to do her laundry, where did she go? She went to the famous room in the White House. She went to the famous room in the White House, and it was the East Room, because it was known that she could dry her clothes there. It was the warmest, most driest room. So while she served her one term with her husband in the White House, every single time she did her laundry, she went to the East Room. Today, the East Room is basically where you have parties, where the president will have his parties, or his meetings. Secret Service agents will tell you that they see a woman coming into the East Room holding a laundry basket. Basically, it is reportedly known that it is the First Lady, Abigail Adams, coming in to do her laundry. The second reported spirit that they have here is that of Dolly Madison. Dolly Madison, also a great known ghost in Washington, D.C. She created the Rose Garden. She does not like the Rose Gardens to be even remotely touched. During Woodrow Wilson's administration, his wife, Grace, or Margaret, whatever her name was, I don't know all the First Lady's names, like I should, everybody, you know. But she wanted to transplant the Rose Garden. Little fourth First Lady of the United States, Abigail, Dolly Madison, did not expect it. So she is known to haunt the Octagon House, as well as her retired home, where she had when she retired from public office, and the White House. At the Octagon House, which is a block away, she haunts that place because on August 24th, 1814, during the Battle of Washington, during the War of 1812, the British burned the White House. So the French ambassador flew the French flag over the Octagon, so therefore the the Madisons could use it as their private residence and their business residence. So she's seeing at the Octagon House as well as the White House, and then it's Rose Garden. And of course, Abraham Lincoln is also known to haunt the White House. There's a story about him in the 40s. He apparently made the Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands pass out because he knocked on her door during one evening. She was there for a cocktail party that the Roosevelts were hosting, and he knocked on the door and she fainted. Also, Winston Churchill has seen the spirit of Lincoln himself. He was getting out of the bathtub, had a cigar in his hand, and saw Lincoln standing by the fireplace in his room, and he said, "I believe you got me at a disadvantage, Mr. President." Lincoln just smiled and disappeared. But he is not only is he known as one of America's most good presidents, but he is the number one ghost that's also seen in the White House. Now, the White House was also built, yes, our nation's capital is built over a swamp, in case anybody of you didn't know that. And who owned the swamp that is now our glorious capital? A man by the name of John Burns. You can hear him in the attic, or what used to be the attic above the Oval Office, saying that he owned the building, that he is John Burns. There are multiple different spirits that roam the White House. I'm not going to talk all about them. One is a British soldier. But now we're moving on. This is Borley Rectory, a rectory that doesn't exist anymore, burned down in the 30s. It used to sit on a Middle Ages monastery from the Middle Ages. Story goes that a nun fell in love with a monk during the Middle Ages in England. And they tried to elope. Well, the authorities found out about it and killed them. The nun was walled up, they believe, in her convent. Who knows what they did to the priest or the monk. In the 20s and 30s, it became a home. Well, it was in 1863, actually, a rectory was built. And for multiple years, it housed the families of all priests, ministers, parishioners, anybody who worked for the church lived in this one particular building. And over the years, they came in contact with a nun. They would see her in the gardens at dusk. They would see her looking into the dining room window. It obviously terrified the family that lived here. Well, sometime in the 20s or the 30s, it got so bad that a ghost hunter by the name of Richard Price chose to investigate. And he rented the home for about a year at this point. And he made many conducting experiments and investigations, and he did identify that a nun did haunt the grounds of the rectory. They said to him one day, the rectory will burn down to the ground. And there you will find, hidden in the walls of the abandoned ruined structure of Borley Rectory, a skull. The skull was identified as the skull of a woman. So we do know that there was a woman murdered on site and that she was a nun. But they don't know if so. That determines the nun situation. Another one which is most talked about is Waverly Hills Sanitarium in Jefferson County, Kentucky. In the 20s and 30s, the White Death, which was known as the White Plague, TB, was killing people at an enormous rate. TB is a bacteria infection which can attack any part of the body, but most informally, it attacks the lungs. There were multiple buildings, in fact, during the 1700s, 1800s, and early 1900s that were built for the use of tuberculosis. In 1910, there was a two-storied structure built for about 250 patients, I believe, filled in no time. So in 1926, they got some money from the state. And in 1926, in October 17th, 1926, this building opened up to the public as one of the top-of-the-line hospitals. And was so for multiple years. It is claimed that in 1928, the head nurse was pregnant, attracted the disease, and was unmarried. So she hung herself in room 502 on the 5th floor. And another one in 1932 jumped out the window. It is believed that there's a nurse sighted on the 5th floor, walking around the grounds. They've also seen a little girl with no eyes on the 3rd floor. A maintenance worker who worked there in the 40s, they hear keys jingling, an old man and his dog. There's another person, and multiple patients and children, and a man in a white lab suit that also haunt the grounds. Also, the smell of bread, them cooking bread and food in the kitchen, is also another sign. It is one of the most active places in Kentucky, if not the country, one of the most active places in the world. This one here is the Stanley Hotel. Now, the Stanley Hotel was built in the early 1900s by F.O. Stanley and his wife. This right here is what gave Stephen King the inspiration in the 1970s to write his novel, The Shining. There are children that haunt the 4th floor. Lord Dunraven, who owned the grounds, because he was a foreigner, they kicked him off of the grounds and told him he wasn't allowed to own land and had to give it up. And the family that built the structure, built it on his land. So he is also on the 4th floor. Flora Stanley is said to play her piano in the music room. She had a stroke out there in the lobby in the 30s, and she's seen in the music room playing her piano. Maids, children, patrons, and the owner himself are claimed to be walking the grounds of this notorious hotel. Even the McGregor room is a big old ballroom. People claim that they hear parties going on in this room. It's been investigated by TAPS, Ghost Adventures, all these, television shows. They've all done this, and this is one of the most top rated from the Atlantic Paranormal Society's list of haunted hotels. Another one that I will be showing you is Eastern State Penitentiary, right here. Eastern State. Yep. Eastern State Penitentiary was built in 1829 and fostered to many prisoners. It became known as the Pennsylvania system for how they conducted their prisons. You weren't allowed to talk to anybody, you were hooded, and punishments were bad. Al Capone stayed here, and there were for about 8 months. and it's claimed that he was haunted by one of the people that he killed at the St. Valentine's Day massacre. He's claimed, I don't know if there's claims of him there at Eastern State, but there is claims of seeing a dog. Yep, the governor's dog killed his wife's cat, and he got a life sentence here at Eastern State. It was open for 142 years. It shut down in 1971. Today, it's a museum. I've been here quite a lot. I expect anybody one day to come to Philly and come to this place. It's fun. You learn a whole lot about stuff. You get to see where they have the solitary confinements, and you get to see the prisons itself. You get to see the cells. This was the only running building in America who had indoor plumbing. Yep. Well, you had to use an outhouse. You had to commit a crime in order to be in the nice warmest building. But, you know, that's what it is. Fairmount Avenue, 22nd Street in Philadelphia. This was a peach orchard or some cherry orchard, and the city grew up around it. It is haunted by ghosts. They hear laughter. They have the feeling of being watched. They hear footsteps. Eyes appear on the wall. Security cameras show doors opening and closing. People are grabbed, people are touched. A friend of mine told me that they visited Eastern State and they were playing in the shower area and somebody slapped that friend's rear end and no one was there. This is the St. Augustine Lighthouse, built in 1872. Multiple claims say that there were two little girls who loved riding up and down a cart that brought things up from the ocean to the lighthouse. Two of the builder's daughters drowned because the cart malfunctioned, and it's believed that the spirits of two little girls, a lighthouse keeper who hanged himself, and multiple lighthouse keepers haunt the building. In 2006 or 2007, the Atlantic Paranormal Society came here, and they filmed an episode here, and they saw a woman from the dress down turn and look at them, and race down the stairs. The spirits are very active. This is in St. Augustine, Florida. St. Augustine is the oldest Spanish colonied city in the United States. Now, I told some of you in the intro that I'm a reenactor. Civil War, which I will talk about in another video. This is Gettysburg. Gettysburg is considered one of the most haunted areas and haunted places in Pennsylvania. 51,000 casualties in 3 days is why this place is so haunted. A lot of young men died here. Their lives were cut short. I've investigated this place twice. People claim that you can feel gunpowder. You can smell gunpowder, hear guns going off, see artillery. A lot of reenactors get mistaken as real soldiers, or the real soldiers, if they claim, get mistaken for reenactors. I've heard stories over the years that during the filming of Gettysburg, one of my all-time favorite movies was filmed, the actors and reenactors had an experience with ghosts because their environment was disrupted. They came out to see what was going on, and people were coming in contact with the reenactors that they believed were reenactors, and they weren't. They were actual real spirits from the Battle of Gettysburg. you're more than likely to have a nice big experience here on the Gettysburg battlefield. It has been haunted since day one. Another Gettysburg house that I'm going to talk to you about is the Jenny Wade house. This is not her house. This is her sister's house. Her sister, Georgia, had just had a baby on June 26th. Jenny and her mother lived over on Breckenridge Street in town. That would be in that direction. Breckenridge Street's in that direction. Story goes that the battle opened up at around 7:30 in the morning. General Hill's 3rd Corps Brigade Heath's Division. They were attacking just north of town. Jenny got nervous and thought, let me go over and stay with the family over at her sister's place. She brought her brother and a crippled boy over to the Jenny Wade house. And that, she stayed there, making bread, water. She gave food to the soldiers. She did everything. At the age of 20, this is a 20-year-old woman. She did everything for them at the age of 20. July 3rd, she's out in the kitchen, minding her own business, and a stray bullet, all the way down from the Farnsworth house, goes through the outer door into the interior door and shoots her in the back. To this day, she's known as the heroine of the Civil War, the only civilian killed, and her house is one of the most top haunted houses in the town. Number 6 most active haunted house by Travel Channel. Her father is claimed to haunt the basement because he never got to say goodbye. Jenny herself is claimed to cook bread. They hear footsteps. They see a soldier and her fiance, Jack Skelly, who died on July 12th, a week after her death, is also said to be here. Multiple hauntings and kids across the street from the orphanage also haunt this building. They came here because of a cruel headmistress, which I'll get into later. This is the Birdcage Theater. I'm sure that everybody can see these. I don't know if I'm doing this correctly. Yeah, sorry, this is my first major video, but hopefully I'm doing okay. This is in Tombstone. 31 spirits haunt this place. This is the Old West. So Wyatt Earp is said to be here. Virgil Earp, a stagehand, some cowboys from the OK Corral haunt the building. A woman by the name of Gold Dollar is also another one who haunts the building. They claim to see a woman in white down in the basement where the saloons are. They hear bowling balls or pool balls being loaded and shot. They hear footsteps and phantom music. And last but not least, the Farnsworth house, also a Gettysburg house, built in 1810, lived in by the Sweeney family, who actually occupied it. This has 14 ghosts that roam the building. There's Walter, Terrence, Michael, and I think Morgan, and multiple different spirits who haunt soldiers who haunt the building. Calico Cat, Sissy, a 3-year-old little girl, Jeremy, who died of being hit by a carriage, is very small. This is one of the most haunted inns in America. Guarantee that you'll find something here. They have ghost tours. You can sleep here. They have a bookstore. And on the side, on the left-hand side, you can see bullet holes. But this is owned by the Schultz family since 1972. Sarah Blackman was the most requested room. This is a collage I created just for fun with some friends to show off one of my interests, and one of them is the paranormal. So I just thought, since I will be talking about the paranormal, historical advice, and much more on this channel. So if you like stuff like this, you can please hit the like button and subscribe, because there will be more ghost talks, along with historical talks, which will be in multiple different other videos. So I hope you enjoy this collage of haunted places, and I'll see you soon. Bye.